Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Underground Reviews. Today we're going to be looking at the band Persefone and their new album Metanoia. So, nestled between France and Spain in the Pyrenees Mountains, the tiny European nation of Andorra is home to one of the brightest lights in the extreme progressive death metal firmament. Persephone are a band that has long deserved to be recognized for their abilities, as they have already carved out a strong lineage of outstanding albums, each one only improving from one to the next in ever increasing excellence. With Persephone, I'm going to say it right one of these times, with Persephone active since 2001, Metanoia is the band's sixth installment to their great catalog and sees them continue to push forward in the evolution of their sound and approach to songwriting. Persephone started out as something sort of resembling an extreme metal version of progressive titans like Symphony X, with their first album, 2004's Truth Inside the Shades, which the band actually fully re-recorded for its 15th anniversary last year and was actually one of my favorite albums of 2020. Continuing on with the evolution through 2007's Core, 2009's Shinken. However, it was 2013's Spiritual Migration that really made a lot of people sit up and take notice, me included. Especially within the fan base of the sort of more extreme end of the scale and the even technical death metal. With Spiritual Migration, Persephone started to find a sound that would be refined and perfected further on 2017's stellar album, Atma, which also happens to be one of my all-time favorite albums. That ultimately brings us up to Metanoia. And once again, the bar that Persephone have set for themselves has been raised to new heights here. Metanoia begins with the beautiful and transcendent title track, which has an outstanding emotion-filled vocal performance leading the way. I can't really verify it, but if I was to guess, I'd say it's the singer from the band Leprous, Einar Solberg, who's the one delivering it, making a guest appearance, I think. Anyway, during most of the songs on Metanoia, there are touches of electronic music laced sort of sparingly throughout, just enough to add to the tension building, however, never so much as to remove the raw human sound of a band at full power. The title track builds masterfully and explodes into the next track, Catabasis, with its furious riffing and now trademark Persephone complex rhythmic grooves. Persephone are one of the best bands in extreme metal at writing these kinds of memorable grooves and hard-hitting, sort of jagged riffs. The song has all the powerful ingredients that fans of Persephone have come to know and love. The great dynamic feel, as I've already mentioned, the aggressive death growls from Marc Martin's Pia, the soaring and fantastically uplifting clean vocals from keyboardist and singer Miguel Espinosa Ortiz, who also provides the expansive symphonic keyboard textures along with other electronic sounds which serve to lend the whole album an epic grandeur that's really unmatched. Lyrically, the album seems to be, once again, like Atma and Spiritual Migration, tackling themes of self-discovery and the exploration of the soul and spirituality in general. This is very much reflected in the flow of the music itself throughout the album. Like its predecessor, Metanoia feels very much like a whole experience from start to finish, with sublime beauty mixed with fierce aggression. The music perhaps reflects influences from bands like the aforementioned Leprous, as well as bands like Soen, Isan, and Cynic, I would say. However, they very much have created their own sound, This sonic journey feels very much like you're traveling through someone's spiritual evolution, but from the inside, from their point of view. Experiencing all the twists and turns firsthand along the way. Architecture of I is a killer song that follows, and that leads into the epic instrumental Leap of Faith, which builds from soft and contemplative into something gigantic in its cinematic scale and emotional reach. The next song, Aware of Being Watched, is another thrilling ride, jam-packed with more innovative rhythms, a little bit of electronica, powerful and captivating vocals, and a ripping guitar solo. Actually, it's worth noting that on all their previous albums, there have always been a lot more sort of guitar solos all over the place. Yet here, they are fewer and more far between. Normally, I'd probably be disappointed by that because Carlos Lozano Quintanilla and Felipe Baldea, sorry, I messed up those names. They're both top tier guitar players, and their work on the other albums was awesome. However, I didn't even really notice it until I'd heard the album several times that there was sort of a lack of guitar solos here. Mainly because the focus is far more on the overall composition and the emotional impact that it will elicit. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting development for the band, I would say. Following on from Leap of Faith comes the first single called Merkaba, I guess that's how you say it. And again, the band hits it right out of the park here. It's pure perfection. These guys at their best, absolutely awesome. They then return to the two-part song Consciousness from the Spiritual Migration album for a third installment. Of course, it stays faithful to the first two parts, but they manage to make it even more epic and powerful. Finally, Metanoia finishes with a three-part extended suite of songs called Anabasis. And again, we are taken from serene beauty to extreme explosive power and back again. Another grand statement of Persephone's ever-growing powers. The music on Metanoia sort of conjures up this imagery for me of someone sitting, meditating on the edge of an ice cliff in Antarctica or some frozen wasteland, but with the sort of cinematic scope and grandeur of a movie like Lawrence of Arabia. As I mentioned already, their previous album, Atma, is one of my favorite albums. So I was very much anticipating this release with excitement, but also nerves about, how these guys could possibly top that album. But I'm overjoyed to say that Metanoia has not only lived up to my expectations, but has surpassed them as well. Metanoia is a perfect album from top to bottom. It does everything they are known for and more, and to the highest possible level. The production is pristine and the performances are magnificent all around. I would say to any fans of progressive metal in any form should definitely get this album. And I would be surprised if Metanoia isn't my album of the year for 2020 by year's end. I guess we'll see. I think there's a lot of good albums going to be coming out this year. But still, I think this one's going to be hard to beat. A truly masterful and transcendent album from a band that really deserves to break through with this masterpiece. So how would I rate this album? I would have no problem. As I said, this is a perfect album, so I'm going to give it a perfect score of 10 out of 10. Masterful stuff. So don't be shy. Go and get this one. Support the band when they come to town. Go see them. Go buy their merch. And like I always say, guys, support the underground bands. Anyway, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. And I'll be back with more reviews shortly. So from me, the Spotlight Kid, stay metal, and see you next time.